Africa. Thanks for coming through, Jerome. You must have been listening to me and licking your lips and saying, yeah, you're talking about industrialization, and I am doing exactly what Tumamina, the president of South Africa, has been asking for. Tell me what you bring.
So somehow, yeah, we are following the president directive or request at Davos, stepping in the South African market. So TMH International is a Swiss-based organization. We're headquartered in Zug in Switzerland. We are the international arm of Transmash Holding, which is a large group of railway manufacturers in Russia and CIS. Globally, it's ranked around the 4th largest group in the world in terms of train and coaches production per year.
Right.
We are basically turning over 4.5 billion USD a year, and the group is about 100,000 people today.
Sure.
So the internationalization strategy of the group was to say, let's change a little bit the narrative, let's discuss with our customers, and we found out that the best way for us was to be an industrial investor in the market we wanted to enter, rather than just exporting from Russia.
Sure.
So we targeted 6 countries, amongst each of them is South Africa. And obviously we are now stepping in, creating TMH Africa as part of the group, creating an entity which is meant at acquiring an industrial asset in the country and manufacturing trains and rolling stock in general from South Africa.
Yeah, you spoke about Davos. Is that where you struck the deal?
No, actually we struck no deal at the moment. We made the decision, and Davos, I think, was one of the supporting elements. That's not the only element.
Right.
I think what makes South Africa a relevant market is its depth of skills and capacity, its depth of suppliers, and obviously its positioning in the railway space in the continent, because it's one of the largest networks still used, and a government which is saying we will use rail to shift goods. And
take
for
it away
us,
from road.
Exactly, and for us as a rolling stock manufacturer, as one of the largest, I would say, player in the market, it's an interesting prospect.
Yeah, I understand you may not be able to talk about the deal that you are working on at the moment, but tell me what that will bring.
So what we will bring is that first we'll bring together a South African partner, MGSA, and an international partner, TMH International, to buy an asset in South Africa, develop the capacity, and we will be manufacturing mostly diesel locomotive and coaches for our own needs, the Continental needs, and the South African needs. And as again, we're acting as an investor. We are stepping in with our own plans, and part of it is obviously South Africa, but mostly part of it is the continent. And this is what we will bring. Obviously, what we bring as a rolling stock manufacturer is a lot of intellectual property access.
Right.
As you know, South Africa doesn't lack industrial capacity. Oftentimes, to play on the global space, what the industry lacks in South Africa is access to IP. If you develop it, it takes time.
Sure.
If you buy it, it costs you money.
Yes.
And then you're irrelevant. So
absolutely.
How do we play this, this situation a bit better? It's by partnering with people who own the IP, who have the ability to develop product and services which are good for the continent. So we'll be developing around diesel loco for the continent, coaches for the continent, and obviously services, because this is half of our business today. And we don't intend to stop services only in Russia. We want to do services on the continent.
No electric at the moment?
No electric at the moment. 2 reasons for that. The first one is that there is a lot of players on the market. We can do sub-assembly for electric, but we are not yet there in terms of engines. There is very few players in the motor, electrical motor on the continent. So we'll do repair, but we will not do a new built-on motors.
Sorry. So you're looking at South Africa, but you said you're also using it as a gateway into the rest of the continent. Who are you looking at potentially?
So we are looking at all the countries where there is a railway network. Obviously, it's always easier.
Everywhere.
It's always easier. It's everywhere in Africa. Mostly at the moment on the surrounding countries of South Africa. We're looking at Kenya, Namibia, Angola, potentially others, but that's the things we are looking at. And obviously on the northern part of the continent, we're looking at Egypt and Nigeria, even though Nigeria is halfway to Egypt. But that's the large market we see. That's the implementation we believe is feasible. But again, let's not run before we can walk. Let's start our operation in South Africa, make sure we deliver the right quality and the right services.
I'm already running and walking because I'm thinking of Cecil John Rhodes' view of a Cape to Cairo railway line, and I'm thinking you're going to facilitate that. But let's park that aside and talk a little bit about this project. It sounds like this is a huge project. You're going to be spending a lot of money in the region, in Africa?
Yeah, so globally the internationalization strategy of the group is capitalized with 50 billion rand, so that's quite a serious action.
Globally?
Globally, so that's for the 6 countries we are targeting. We have
in Africa or?
No, it's worldwide.
In the world,
okay.
Sorry,
so
yeah,
we have started operation with 2 JVs in Kazakhstan a few years ago. We are starting now in Argentina, the same, a new plant. And the investment for South Africa at the moment is 500 million rand, okay, so which will be part of the acquisition and the setup of the factory. And obviously across time or along the next 5 years, we will be spending more money around capital expenditure to create new lines, training, obviously. As I said, there is a lot of knowledge, but we believe there is more which needs to be happening in this industry.
Absolutely.
We're talking about an historical industry, but which also goes through changes in terms of the way we produce, the type of profile we need in our factories.
Yeah.
So we need to upskill people if we want to get there.
Yes.
And this is part of the money we will be investing in the next 5 years, obviously.
And the President's message to attract 1.2 trillion rand in foreign direct investment, you contributing towards that?
Obviously, a small bit, 50 million, as I said. More to come if need be.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Thank
exactly,
you very much.
That's the small business contribution to the National Development Plan. But I think it's also the spirit. What we thought was important for us is that we had a conducive environment for investment, a decent, I would say, legal framework to do so, and a country which has a positioning from a geographical perspective and from a connectivity perspective to be a hub for us and start our Africa adventure.